6. Yes, that time is Eastern Time, New York, USA. And just going to put some information out for the metaphysical community, anomalous researchers. Let me put anomalous, which is something, for some reason, I um, spelled that wrong, but I finally got it. Sometimes, I mean, I understand why spell check is there, but sometimes, right, I I don't need it to automatically correct because I'd like to know actually how to spell the word. So anyway, um, yes, technology can be useful, everyone, but it shouldn't be relied upon in certain ways. So yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of backtracking here soon. I mean, I'm 100% sure. Regardless, yes, for those of you who are, you know, well skilled and or well educated in metaphysics, which I am, um, I'm gonna say, okay. So there's a lot of conversation about what certain. Um, I'm gonna use my cell phone. I don't have a lot of, you know. Oops. Hang on. Everything is a little slower. I forgot to save something before, so I'm doing it now. So I'm gonna do a search for. Um, I did a basic search online for how many underground cities are there. Some are known to be man-made for various reasons, and some are assumed to be man-made. All right. Um, Let me see how many underground cities are there. Yes, I had this search pulled up earlier, but okay. So I am going to discuss uh, cryptids in a, a different kind of way. Okay, so those of you who don't know what cryptids are, beings that don't seem to be human and could possibly be otherworldly. Okay, they're mysterious creatures on Earth, right? So, right, so I'm going to be talking about the cryptid known as Nosferatu or vampire. And they've had other names, but these days, yes. So you do have to put them in your cryptid right, category. It says there's no single definitive number for underground cities. They range from ancient to, commercial networks. There are, examples in Turkey, underground city, descends 18 levels and 270 feet, up to 35 other cities located in the same region. Um, that's more ancient. Montreal, Canada has one that is not as ancient. Um, there are catacombs. There are a lot of underground pathways all over Earth. Okay, so you have to put Nosferatu vampires in the cryptid category because non-human. Okay, and even if they were at one point, I mean, once you're Nosferatu, you're something different. Depending on origins and what you believe and all these kind of things. But to say, okay, you can't disprove that they absolutely don't exist. And there is evidence in certain places would suggest that, there may be flying creatures, or uh, those who cannot live in regular sunlight, so to speak. I know some of it's fictitious and all that other kind of stuff, but I mean, you do kind of have to include them in the cryptid category, considering, you know, Sasquatch and wolf people and other types have been included in the cryptid category. All right. So, what would a vampire need? Fresh water, fresh air, and a place to live where the sun doesn't shine. The assumption, a lot of people, some of these, and especially more ancient, air quote, cities underground, but, are there places? This is what I'm asking archaeologists and anomalous researchers and those who consider possible paranormal, uh, you know, cryptids, hybrids, cryptids could have, right, used them. So, cryptids that don't need sunlight. The assumption is all life requires sunlight. But is that really true? Because deep sea, there's no such thing. And yet there's life way at the bottom of the depths. Okay? If you're looking at like interplanetary, right, there's some planets that aren't very close to what we would call a sun, S-U-N. All right, so this is what I'm saying is like there's an assumption it's all human based. But I am asking archaeologists, those who take this subject seriously, anomalous research, you know, mysteries, as in, so what were some of these ancient cities used for? A lot of people will say, from bad weather, yada, blah, 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 all sorts of things. However, you're thinking human all the time. And what I'm going to say is that there are some, like in mountain, and there are dig outs, tunnels, large caverns, and in some cases purposely dug out, um, places within mountains and cliff faces and other spaces on Earth that have no steps. Like there's no steps to get up there. Like how did they get up there? Did they have to climb? Did they climb down? Were they using rope and ladder that just disappeared over time? Well, see, here's the thing: is that Occam's razor isn't really wisdom. And there's some who know I'm speaking the truth about that. Because Occam's razor assumes that if it's the simplest, it makes right. Well, how do you know whatever? Do you know for sure, 100%, that there is no, angel who's capable of doing something, or no cryptid who's capable of doing something, or no otherworldly, life force that's capable, or no humans en masse that together aren't capable of, right? Like, unless you know everything, Occam's razor is, what shall we say, fool's gold. And that does not indicate brilliance of any kind. Yes, I am challenging you. And there's a few people here and there, probably all of them left me by now, and probably, all of them bored by now. I don't even care. Right. Goldie never challenges unless she knows she can't be beat. So I'm challenging all of it. Geniuses. Okay? I'm challenging all of it. Occam's razor really only works if you indeed know everything. Because in one part of a country where they do actually do things because they are very, very keenly aware that beings like Nosferatu or vampires have existed. And then there's these way over here in this country doing this, this, and this, and they don't even consider that a viable option. So Occam's razor over here is going to look different from Occam's razor over here. Occam's razor is not wise. You know I'm speaking truth. Okay, there are some. And some of the questions are, well, how did people get up to these, built in cities and all these? How do they access it? Well, what if it was a winged being? Winged beings don't need steps. Are there places that you can say for sure at 100%, archaeologists with every which way kind of proper scientific, we found these things, some of those cities where there's no evidence of any cooking, kitchen preparation, heating of food? Do some of them not have easy access by human beings? A winged creature can just like fly right into it. Okay, what do Nosferatu need? Okay, right. Fresh water, cave like, dark cave like place to live and sleep and rest. Okay? And source of food. Well, no, they don't cook and eat their food. And, is there evidence that, for those who have evidence of certain things, is there evidence that, you know, they drink or eat humans? This can all be studied scientifically these days, for sure. Okay? Some of them have places for fresh water, and other, basic things. But I mean, some of them are perfect places because there's no sun. Now, if they could shapeshift and become bats, as some legends, myth, and fictitious tales say, How do we know that they are legend, myth, and fictitious at 100%? Because, humans go exploring caves and spelunking and all these other things. Oh, well, crap, the humans are coming. Right? All right, let's all just hang here looking like bats. All right, there are too many open ended questions as to whether or not Nosferatu existed or exists to this very day. But wouldn't some of these places be the perfect place for Nosferatu to reside? Fresh water, fresh air. I mean, some have, yes, certain, when it just pulls in this way, it gets blown in this way most of the time. And then, gets pulled in and blows out that way. There are natural ways to maneuver in rocks and stone, various wind tunnels, and ways to move air by sometimes by heating it or cooling it through caves and tunnels. I mean, some are really musty, but how much oxygen do you need while you're traveling? You understand? It may flow up high or it may flow down low. The cooling. Okay, but there is a way to manipulate airflow by heating it up and cooling it down in certain places. Also, the archaeologists, the serious scientists, yeah. How many of them did you find places for torches, like torches that used oil? Okay, how many? Like light to see eyeballs. Well, maybe Nosferatu don't need that kind of light or a lot of it. I mean, are there electrical things? Are there, pools of like propane? Are there things that, is there a natural, do they have spots where some type of light by fire or some other method? I mean, other than archaeologists putting that stuff in there, do they have, do all of them have something like that? Because if they don't, and you look and look and look, and you can't find any kind of way, there's no old burnt rags, there's no smell of, certain oil or propane or something that would have been used at a certain point in time. There's no place to put lanterns or torches, oil and rags or any of those kind of things. The assumption is, well, why are humans? Are you sure that all that was built by humans for humans? Also, just as a side note, what if it was like a 20-foot being with a way different kind of muscle structure than humans have? We brought the rocks over there near the ley line, and I speak truth. Right. I'm going to give you a hint. Stonehenge. Of course, yes. What's under it? Yes, of course. And are there beings inside those rocks? Of course, that's another one. Keystone. Anyway, moving back to tunnels, caves, I mean, what there are some that have been found, and so I'm asking, like actual archaeologists and those who've been studying, just think about it in that term: is what's missing that humans would need? Do vampires need to cook food? Do they have like? Do vampires need as much light as in we need torches and we need, some, yeah, I don't know, like way, yeah, for eyeballs to maneuver around. I mean, maybe they can see better in the dark, kind of like cats. Maybe they are like bats, sooner. Might not need lighting at certain intervals like humans would. So, paranormal researchers, those who study cryptids, there's just some food for thought. Okay, now some of these, right? Every time I see, it seems like the immediate reaction is, well, why did the humans build them and what were they used for? Well, that is not good science, my friends. So look for things that humans would need that aren't there. And then maybe, right, those weren't built for humans. I mean, some of it could be fictitious. This is just, and people build off each other's fiction and so on and so forth. But yes, like Nosferatu vampires should be on the cryptid list according to the way things are categorized, right? You can't disprove them. And think about it. What would they need? Fresh water, fresh air, and a food source. Would they need lights? Would they need, places to cook? Fire, you know, are they built near a place that, maybe the rocks radiate some sort of, heat because they're near, a geothermal situation? Okay. I mean, I take all this very seriously too. And that I've been studying for longer than I've been studying the National Hockey League, which is, you know, about 41 years at this point. Right. So that is what I'm saying is that no one should just assume that some of these were built by humans. And why maybe, a, let's just go with maybe a 50-foot tall being with different muscle structure than humans can, lift way more. Why couldn't giants have built it and carried those rocks in pairs of two, three, four? Yes, it would have to be a very large being, but why would that not, you know, be a reasonable way to think? There's no bones of any of them around, and blah, 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 and it would have taken years. Maybe it wouldn't. I mean, if you're 20 to 50 foot tall, okay, walking for you is like half a day, or humans, it would be like 2 weeks. What if giants? What if it has everything to do with travel? Okay? So there are some bad scientists on planet Earth. I mean, large beings who are built muscularly to handle large amounts of weight, right, could have maneuvered stones in much easier ways than humankind could. And why are the four-sided pyramids, I know there's plenty, there's Mexico, South America, all those kind, always like you have to live down in the dark. There's no sunlight. Even the pyramids, right? The three-sided pyramids, like beings lived inside with no sun. Why is it always the assumption of human? Speaking of which, I do not think that some of you all who have been buying into how brilliant certain people are, I'm going to get into Schrodinger, the cat killer. Some of you have way more time to sit around and think for some reason. If a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, okay, did it make a sound? Okay, if birds get scared and fly away because a tree fell in the forest, it made a sound. Does it make a sound when someone is there to hear it? Then it made a sound. You mean no human there to hear it? It makes a sound whether a human heard it or not. If a tree falls in the forest, then there's no one there to hear it. Okay. Do you mean there's no animals? What do you mean? Have you ever been around? I've been around a tree that, yep, in the storm, the roots rotting. Oh, I thought I was going to fall in my car for a hot second because it was dark, but it didn't. It fell across the road. Well, it made a sound. It made a noise. And if I hadn't been there, it still would have made a sound. It still would have made a noise. Okay? I mean, that's why birds sometimes fly away. Oh, the tree made a right. Squirrels go running that way or whatever. You're all very assumptive that humankind is the be all and end all of all things. What if the master race wasn't meant to divide humans, Homo sapien? What if it was meant the human race thinks it's the master race, as opposed to, I don't know, Nosferatu? Okay, just I mean, it's not preposterous when it comes to cryptids anymore. I mean, there's plenty of evidence to suggest certain things. So, you know, there are plenty of people, especially across the pond. You get right, Bulgaria and some other places over there near Europe and all that Poland. There's all sorts of places over there, parts of Russia, where they're 100% sure vampires exist. Nosferatu. And some do have some evidence. So some of these, entrances into things, humans are just like, well, how do they get up there? Do they build a ladder? Maybe if you can fly, you don't need a ladder. And it keeps humans out. Maybe certain places were built for Nosferatu, either by Nosferatu, for Nosferatu, or by, I don't even know, Nosferatu's manipulating humans. I don't know. But neither do you. So if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, didn't make a sound, is a waste of time, kids. Just walk away. Wasting brain power on that is not wise. Schrodinger's cat, everybody. Well, you're all cat killers. And no, you see, the cat cannot be thought of as dead or alive at the same time because you purposely put poison in the fucking box. And the minute you put that cat in the box and shut it, you killed a cat. The cat was dead second you put it in the box with the poison and closed the box. The end. Okay, thought experiments are for bored rich people whose family trees are getting ripped up right now. Some of you are not good scientists. You are praising, people who are not brilliant, nor are they geniuses, nor do they give a shit about the truth and wisdom and human potential and other types of potential. Seriously, Schrodinger's cat. Sitting around thinking about how to kill a cat. The cat's dead the minute you put poison and the cat in the box and close it. The end. We don't need to think about killing cats anymore. You're not brilliant. And I am challenging some of you. Nothing brilliant about that. Nothing brilliant about Occam's razor, because Occam's razor only works for a being that knows every single thing. Like I said, over here, this group of people may live in a much more natural way, and the water does certain things exactly the same, and they understand the patterns of earth and the patterns of water, right? So to them, Occam's razor for them is going to be based on the natural patterns of earth. But you go over here to this group, and they have special man-made tools, devices, technology, and Occam's razor for them will differ. So Occam's razor is unwise. Oh, yes, I am here to upend it all. And I am built for restoration. And I have integrity, National Hockey League, and all National Hockey League fans, and all National Hockey League GMs. I will not help or assist your fraudulent bullshit where apparently it's okay with everybody. The GMs can purposefully maneuver stuff so that the players trying their goddamnedest and the coaches trying their goddamnedest to win. I mean, a GM setting up all these people for failure. Do all the season ticket holders know that that's what you were paying for? Do all the sponsors, local and national, know that it's perfectly fine to you know tank a GM is perfectly acceptable? Does the National Hockey League feel that way? I mean, some of you have zero faith in the God you claim to love, and right, you also have zero integrity. And I mean, the lawsuits, from just the player and coach's perspective, if they were not aware, okay, so the National Hockey League has lost its heavenly assistance, and that is fun.